Sandra all the time is here with the cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you.
For Monday Rewind. The Cold Hard Truth's Monday Rewind show recaps the weekend's news and events so you don't miss a beat.
Don't miss out.
All the weekend's source, news, gossip, and well, it wouldn't be a weekend recap show without traffic accidents too. Cayman Marl Road is Cayman's #1 news source and has the island's hottest morning talk show.
It's the hottest.
Make sure you don't miss a beat with Monday Rewind.
Rewind.
Tune in every Monday from 7:30 a.m. on both YouTube and Facebook.
All right, beautiful people, rise and shine. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody doing today? Happy Monday. Everybody's good? I hope so. Honey child, what's going on? Well, there's lots to talk about that happened over the weekend. So we're going to be going through that in just a second here. And again, I'm hoping that you guys really had a fabulous weekend. I don't know where to begin this morning, but I guess we will start where we always start by going through some of the details of weekend events. So as usual, traffic accidents, there was a few of those. Thankfully, no fatalities, but there is something that I definitely want to talk about here this morning, which demonstrates a severe, what's the right word for it? Double standard. I guess that's the only word for it, really. That we have to encounter here in Camana. And it's quite shocking, to be honest, the way that you guys excuse particular behaviors because you like people. Wow. So there was some discussion over the weekend about DUIs, and I must tell you that the response of people who were basically like, oh, what's the big deal? Someone even went as far as saying, well, he didn't kill anybody. And I literally almost fell out of my chair. Like, I could not believe what I was reading in terms of the comments. It's no wonder. It is absolutely no wonder that we are having what the total disconnect on the roadways, as well as just in life in general. You know, where people can have this attitude. Now, I had to pause and wonder to myself, where have we gone wrong as Caymanians? When did we become non-law abiding individuals who ask the question or say things like, oh, well, you know, a DUI is not a big deal. mind you, it's only if we like the person, apparently. It's not a big deal because, whatever. I was shocked and I was flabbergasted. And it really made me pause and wonder how we even got here. Like, what has seeped into the water? My apologies, into our minds, into anything. What has seeped in to us as a country, as a community, where we're okay with giving certain people a pass when they break the law? Some of you are arguing, well, this is a traffic offense. It's not a big deal. Kind of like, who cares? I don't understand it. I need y'all to help me out here. Let me just grab the phone. 1 second here. All right. So what has happened to us? I don't know. I mean, I was sitting kind of scratching my head, wondering. Yeah, I was sitting here kind of scratching my head going, what? Now, I've always known that people, when you like someone, you give them a pass. That I've always known. That's a bit of human nature. And it certainly explains why even some of our political people are able to get away with a lot of the foolishness that they're able to get away with. And there are people who excuse their behavior kind of like no matter what it is that they do, right? The point was really brought home. I can trust. I tell you, seriously, the point was really, really brought home over the weekend. And I'm left a little bit shocked by it, but I guess the truth of the matter is I probably shouldn't be. We've talked about this before. There's a likability factor. And when we like someone, you're able to excuse a lot of the things that they are willing to do. Thank you so much. Someone just picked up the typo. Thank you, Camana Bay, missing an A there on the end. I appreciate it. We have now fixed that. We'll get to the Camana Bay story here in just a second as well. So there's a significant disconnect. And in my mind, and I think this is why a lot of times, even politically, you guys struggle with when we try to hold people accountable, and you struggle with thinking that we can't hold people accountable that we like, and I've had this conversation with MPs, like when they get in their feelings and they're like, oh, Sandy, you were too hard on me and calling me out. And I was like, you and I would not be having this conversation if I didn't see some redeeming value in you as an individual. So there's something to be said for the fact that people are willing to hold you accountable, regardless of whether they're your friend, they're your acquaintance, they voted for you, didn't vote for you. It shouldn't really matter. What should matter is that, you've got to understand the standards that you're going to be held accountable to. And you decide. It's a job that you've applied to, and you decide if you don't want to be held accountable, then don't apply for that job. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? Go do something else with your life that very little of us will probably be all, concerned about. We're not going to care unless you break the law, and then it becomes a matter that everybody in the community should be concerned about. So we'll come back to this theme because I think, unfortunately, it is a bit of a recurring theme for all of us in our life. Why do we put up with behavior from people just because we like that individual? It is, again, it says a lot about who we are. And I think there are times when we have to evaluate and perhaps reevaluate our stance on right and wrong, What a hot mess. Happy Monday. Let's utilize some of our good Camanian manners here and say good morning to everyone. We have got Evelyn in the house. Good morning to you. Jane is here with us. Miss Stephanie Brooks is here, wishing everyone a safe week. Diamond Princess, thank you, Diamond, for joining us. Wishing everybody a productive day. Wee Stephen joining us from the UK. Good morning. Good morning. Stephen, how's that mug doing? Somebody sent me a photo of the mug the other day. Which country was it in? So people like to share the CMR mugs all over the world. They get to travel. Morning to Mr. Stanley. Says our campaign cycle has started. People would like for you to carry out a questionnaire with all of the proposed candidates. So we will be carrying the chamber debates, which I think is a fairly good way of, getting all the candidates to participate. I don't necessarily believe in reinventing the wheel. And, they have done this for a really long time. And I must say that I think they actually do a really good job of it. So we'll let them continue to lead in that direction. And then what we will do is we will see how we can incorporate it. We'll air it when it's live in the evenings. But perhaps what we can actually do as well is give it some time on the morning show. And you'll get to see those individuals, Mr. Stanley. Some people don't show up to the debates, and I'm thinking, y'all better think twice about it this time. Miss Olivia Coracita, good morning. Jim is in the house. Patricia Blake is here with us. Shaka Zulu, good morning to you. He says, good morning, CMR fam. Miss Lucille here joining us from the UK, wishing everyone a blessed week. Yes, happy 2025. We're now into the about the second week, mid-month. Morning, Strong Wilt. Luis is here. How's that baby boy doing? He is so cute and adorable. Shamika, thank you for joining us. Marshall joining us from the US of A. Julian is here. Allison, Dean Sinclair, Media Warehouse. Hey. And of course, Felicia Rankin and lots more. We've got probably close to 300 people already on the live stream. And of course, all of you listening to us on Bobo 89.1 FM in Radio Land. Happy Monday to you as well. Morning, Emma. So we're talking about excusing, bad behavior just because we have an affinity for the person, we like the person, we think the person's nice. Maybe the person, all of their life has been a really good person. And then one day they get up and you find out they're the axe murderer next door. How do you juxtapose that? It is difficult for your brain to go, wow, what? And the truth of the matter is, sometimes, quote unquote, good people, are capable of doing bad things and are capable of making poor decisions. And I think that's just the complexities of who we are as human beings. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, honey child. How are you?
And I don't text and all that stuff, but anyway, talk about bad behavior. Or bad habits, walking along the road with dark clothes at night in a dimly lit street. Last night, I could hit a mother and her daughter who both of them were wearing black clothes. And I didn't stop on my way home. I came right home, got we call it the jacket there, reflective jacket. And I went back and I parked my car and I introduced myself to the lady. And I said, lady, I want you to have this reflective jacket. And she said, she was almost offended. And I said, this got to be crazy for you and your daughter walking on a dimly lit road with nobody, nobody pays attention. I almost ran into her. I was about 50 feet from her, but happened so I was only going, because I generally drive at 25 miles an hour or go to speed limit. And I says, I want you to have this jacket so that you can at least put this on that people can see you have some defense. And she said, no, don't worry about it. I got a flashlight. She had the flashlight turned off. And she said, oh, I have a reflective jacket at home. Don't worry about it. I'll be okay. I said, but suppose something that somebody swerves from another car, which it has happened to me many times before, where people will be driving with the bright lights on. It's obvious that that's something that needs to be addressed, where that people probably don't even know that they have a dimmer on their lights, and that needs to be addressed when people are taking a driver's test. If you do not know where your dim switch is, you shouldn't be passed as a driver. But nevertheless, I was a little taken back. I didn't get angry at her or anything. I says, my offer still stands. I handed her a second time, and she refused to. I says, well, I hope tomorrow we don't hear about a fatality. And how would you like for your daughter to be killed tonight and you have that unconscious? So these are things that need to be addressed as well. I know there's a lot of issues in this island that everybody has some issue to discuss, but these I think it's personal, because I would never want for another human being to be knocked down on the road.
Yes.
Anyway, Sandy,
thank you so much.
Day.
Yes, absolutely. And, we did mention it last week, and I think there's a lot to be said for road safety and just ensuring that people wear appropriate clothing especially when you are a pedestrian or you're on a bicycle and that sort of thing. Because again, if you knew how little, especially, when conditions are not optimal at night, for example, if you understood how little you're seen by drivers in a vehicle, and it's not necessarily because they're not purposely paying attention. The human brain operates very, very differently when you're in a vehicle and you're driving. You're not as likely to notice cyclists and pedestrians on the roadway. So if you are a cyclist or a pedestrian on the roadway, can I assure you that the one thing you better do is to pay attention to making yourself as visible as possible. It could save your life. All right. So, yes. So, we definitely need more road safety campaigns in general. That's a matter for the NRA, the RCIPS, and of course, public, people who are minded to be part of the community message, I think, should get involved. There is a road safety committee. I don't know what they have done lately, but I think they need to get moving, given the number of fatalities. We almost broke our record last year. We got to 14. And I think that 15 is the record. But I mean, this is not a record that we should be trying to break. We had two fatalities twice within 24 hours of each other, which that was definitely an unfortunate record. And, people have lost their lives. So very, very sad. So again, do your part to stay alive. And this is why when people try to say, oh, well, what's the big deal about a DUI? And you try to say, well, it's not even a criminal offense. It's a traffic offense, but it is, I'm trying to remember if it's actually in the penal code. I'll have to have a look, actually, if it is. But it's not that it's not a criminal offense. You wouldn't be in criminal court if it wasn't a criminal offense. It's just that it is seen a little bit as a lesser offense, right? But at the same time, you still lose your license if you're caught with a DUI. It's an automatic revocation of your license for 12 months, which should demonstrate how serious it is. It's not like the courts are going to say, oh, wow, you didn't mean to drink and drive, so you're going to be okay, and you didn't actually kill anybody, so we are going to, not have you deal with the consequences. It's an automatic situation, in fact, where there are no, I'm just going to pull up the penal code here. There are no opportunities for you to not lose your license. It is strict liability, right? It's simple. You get caught drinking and driving, it's an automatic suspension of your license. The judges, the magistrates, they don't have the power to give you a bly. And I think that alone should demonstrate exactly how serious it is. And the legislators have also looked at it and said there's a degree of seriousness that we should be concerned about. And that is why they have lowered the limit now, where, because there are people out there who can go out there and have 10 drinks and be like, oh, I'm just barely over the limit. What's the big deal? And it's like, what? And so they have lowered it. Now, the argument for a lot of you is like, oh, well, because they have lowered it, that means that, you have 2 drinks and you're already over the limit. Well, that's not necessarily true. There are different factors that determine whether or not you would actually be over the limit, such as, your body weight and other things. I mean, there are people who will have a different level of tolerance, depending on a number of different things. So have a look at it's actually in the Traffic Act and not in the Penal Code. The seriousness of it should not be diminished in any way, shape, or form. So yesterday, a few of you were sending me a rant from Lovell. She is still at it. She seems to be going through one of her heightened situations of one of her mental episodes. I'll just put it that way. She was cursing out somebody, apparently a pastor. I don't know which pastor, had the audacity to say that they were going to pray for her. And apparently you all don't get to pray for Lavelle unless she tells you it's okay to pray for her. You see, this is a typical narcissistic personality, right? So I am confused because I don't know when it became such a horrible thing to pray for somebody. I mean, most people welcome a little bit of prayer. I mean, God knows we all need it on occasion. So I was like, huh? She's upset that someone is praying for her. What? Help me understand this. But apparently, yes, some pastor said he was going to pray for her, and she wanted a rampage. I can't even play on air what she actually said, because it is full of so many curse words and calling the women in his life, claiming, he must pray for his own daughters because they are the W word and all sorts of stuff. And I seriously doubt that she even knows these people. But in typical fashion, she's allowed to do this, and she's allowed to rant and rave. And there's a part of me that does not even want to talk about her, because I think she gets her kicks out of, the attention that she gets out of it. So sometimes you need to be careful giving attention seekers attention, because that's exactly what they want. And that does not help their situation any. It makes them worse. And so she seems to be in a manic stage. There's some sort of escalation here. In the last couple of weeks, she has gotten a degree of attention, obviously, in the community. After what she tried to pull on Woody Foster, she got no support, zero support for that, except apparently from Dwayne Ebanks. Oh, God. It always has to be one of her Camanians who has to be the stupidest in the group. Can I just say, if stupid were a person, and if, always kissing up to the wrong people were a person, Camanians would take the cake every single time. What is wrong? What is wrong with y'all? I mean, honest to God, I struggle, right? I struggle to understand how some of us, and certainly I can't put us all in the same basket because enough of us have more sense than this, would sit down and support this woman and anything that she has to say or anything that she does that is completely illogical and makes no sense. She doesn't have a leg to stand on. Lawyers came on the show and told her she doesn't have a leg to stand on. I told her she didn't have a leg to stand on. Of course, who am I? She didn't believe me. She's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, okay, well, perhaps you're right. I don't know what I'm talking about. So let's get a lawyer on the line. I mean, yes, I only studied law for, 4 years, but who cares that I have a law degree and that I've completed the professional practice course? Doesn't mean that I know a single thing about the law. Theoretically, that could very well be argued. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a practicing attorney. So I don't claim to be one. And I'm certainly, I'm not going to say that I'm an expert. However, exactly what I told her was what two other senior lawyers, including one that actually wrote legislation, Mr. Macfield, he must be almost 90 years old now, looking good as always. And of course, he likewise shared his 60 years of legal experience with her. Mr. Belika shared his wealth of knowledge. He was part of the legal drafter's office where they wrote legislation, and still she refused to believe a word that they had to say. So she's still trying to threaten. On Friday, she actually sent the police by, Price Right. And they were there. People said, I got eyewitnesses everywhere that they were there talking to the manager. Poor Mr. Mario can't even focus on his job because of this woman. And she's going on and on and on now, trying to slander poor Woody's name. Woody Foster, you mess with the wrong person. Oh, please. Woman, please get it together. Get professional help. It is obvious that you need something. You need some kind of help. You can't sit here and with any degree of objectivity say that there isn't something amiss with this woman. Now, whether or not it's, like I said, narcissistic personality disorder, whether it's bipolarism, is she schizophrenic? I don't know those details, okay? I'm not her physician, but she has admitted that her physician, at some point, Dr. LaCroix, had the opportunity to examine her, and he came to a conclusion that she has mental health issues. And although she could only say that he diagnosed her as a quote unquote mad woman, which I'm sure he didn't use that term, I don't know what else specifically what he said in his report. It would have been nice if she used the clinical term that he gave her. And I suspect that medication might actually help her. So on this post, here we have one of her own. These people like Karen, Sterling, they're not Camanians, so we're not too business with them supporting her because they don't. Dr. Lockhart, my God, I'm so sorry. The two doctors have kind of similar names, and so I'm always confusing them with each other. My apologies. Dr. Lockhart is the psychiatrist, psychologist, and then Dr. LaCroix is a GP. I think, has Dr. LaCroix retired now? I'm not even sure, but he may have. But yes, it's Dr. Lockhart that has diagnosed her. So check it out. Most of the time, she's having conversations with herself. But here we have, again, Camana Dwayne Ebanks, poor little thing. He jumped into the conversation and says, your pain is felt and understood. Dwayne, really? You understand Lavelle's pain? Wow. I did not realize that you would have been suffering at this level. I mean, my God. Can we help you? We want to help you. If you're feeling like her, if you're understanding her and you're feeling her pain and understanding it, not that you can't understand it at some level, but if you're feeling it, we want to reach out to you. As one Camanian to the next, we can try to get you help. Maybe you'd be willing to get help. I don't know what part of her pain exactly you were sympathizing with, but we're here to help you. You're a West Bay? I'm not really a West Bay, but 23andMe says that I am. So I'll claim it on occasion. We can help you out. Let us know what you need. She thanks him, of course, for his compassion. She says, compassion is a gift from God, blessings. And he says, I believe you. She uses God as a toy when it is convenient for her to do so. She will try to put curses or hexes on people, curses them out in the name of God. And I don't quite think this is what God is all about. Those of you who are experts on that topic can certainly weigh in. But for someone who is supposed to be so God-fearing and so into God and how he answers prayers, the things that come out of her mouth, that she says about people in the name of God and how she curses people is just, to me, I'm flabbergasted. That is certainly not what God is about. So I don't even know what she's talking about. It's all a game to her. And this to me is why she's an incredibly dangerous person. So someone asked me to send it to them. Yeah, I can send it to you because there's another platform that has shared essentially what she said. I can't share it on here because, boy, the people over at Offreg would have a heart attack. Every church-going person this morning would probably have a heart attack as well. Give me 1 second, though. I think I have an idea. Something just occurred to me that I might be able to do. Let me drink some water. All right, let's see. Big shout out to Diana. I see you on Instagram listening to the show this morning. Super fan. So good to see you. All right, hold on 1 second. So, she likes to call people certain names, and then she likes to pretend that she speaks in tongues and stuff. It's all contrived to really confuse people. And so I guess it might work on some of you. I'm not too sure. I don't even know anymore. Like, seriously, I'm just like, what the what? Only the good Lord can really understand what's going on here. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
This is going to be quick. My student to go for the driving test next couple of minutes.
Your student's going for driving test?
Yes.
Okay.
9:30. So it can't be long.
Oh, okay. All right. What's on your mind?
In relation to Mr. Dexter.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Dexter conversation.
Yes.
A person driving at 25 miles per hour is covering 36.65 feet every second. And if he sees that person walking on the side of the road in dark clothing,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever heard about TRT?
What's it called? Sorry?
TRT.
TRT.
T as in
as in Tom.
P as in Porter.
Oh, PRT.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is that?
That's speaking about perception, reception. Perception, reception, time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're driving, and if you didn't perceive the hazard, you can respond to the hazard. So you got to make sure you see what's happening on the road before you can respond to it. So if you didn't see that person walking in dark clothing, how are you going to respond to it?
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't really.
So it did well by offering that person a reflective jacket.
Right.
So she had one, but it's home. It's no good there.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Thank you, caller. All right. Ms. Jean says we've got Mac Diddy, and now we've got the Kanye of K-Man. Hello. Good morning.
All right. Ms. Jean says.
Hello, honey.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good morning, Sandy. I don't know who this guy is. I hope he's not one of the driving instructors that giving these lessons, because it's obvious you need to teach people I used to teach people to drive,
Mm-hmm.
and one or two lessons they would get would be driving in the night. And I make sure that they know where their dim switch is. What is this guy talking about? I didn't understand. I was completely in outer space when he was talking.
Well,
We're talking about a life here.
I think he's in agreement. Let me pause you, Mr. Dexter. Just a second, honey, chill, because I think there's a level of misunderstanding here this morning. He was actually agreeing with you. And then what happens is, because he's an instructor, I think sometimes he gets like a little bit technical. So he was talking about this depth perception thing, where basically if you don't see someone because of this depth perception concept, you can't respond. You simply don't have enough time to respond. If, they're literally right in front of you. So the chances of you hitting them under darker conditions, et cetera, is likely to happen. And he also said that, her vest being at home isn't going to do her any good. She needs to have it on when she's on the roadway. So this is not, the two of you are on the same page. There's zero reason for you to think that you're not on the same page with him. Now, the other thing that I'm going to tell you, which you may not necessarily know, and that's why I wanted to kind of stop you before you go too far down this rabbit hole and insult this man, is he is actually a stroke victim that has recovered somewhat, but because of the stroke, I think he does have slowed speech a little bit. So I wouldn't encourage you to probably say anything more about his abilities than what you've already said.
Well, I thank you for that. I apologize to him, because when I know that I'm doing when I know that I'm doing the right thing, nobody should be walking in a dimly lit area or a dark area at night with dark clothes. And
we got that point very, very clearly, and we're all in agreement with you.
Okay, and I thought I would be doing the right thing, and I don't care about the perception of distance.
He cares about it. Let me just, kind of break it down. Obviously, he cares about it because he's an instructor.
I apologize to him. I'm man enough to apologize, because I thought that he was. But anyway, we'll call it a day on that, because we don't want to get carried away. You got more important issues. All
right. It's an important one, to be sure, but you're both on the same page. So sometimes, listening is a skill, and there is a concept of most of us listen to respond. And even Lovell was doing this the other day, and she wasn't really listening to understand. And they are two very, very different things. And there's a saying that says, seek first to understand and then be understood. And if everyone walked forward in life with that position, seek first to understand the other person. So you focus on the other person, you prioritize what they're saying and try to understand them, as opposed to putting it on you and trying to understand yourself. It's like the platinum rule of active listening, right? Try to understand what they're saying. Don't be too quick to want to jump back in. And well, that's not, you're both on the same page, honey child. There's no argument here. There really, really isn't. Can we get a hallelujah up in here? Where's my hallelujah button? Oh, why am I not hearing my buttons this morning? Oh, Lord, what's going on? Hold on, honey chill. Where's my hallelujah button? Why don't I hear it? Oh, is it this one? Oh.
Praise the Lord.
There we go, honey chill. All right. Okay. Someone just said, good morning. Thanks for intervening just now. And kudos to the gentleman to stand down from going further to his point. You're welcome, honey chill. Sometimes there are things that you don't know, and what you don't know, they're saying that, what you don't know can't hurt you. Actually, that's one of the worst things in the world. What you don't know can be very, very hurtful, and to you and others. So, yeah, we'll leave it there. All right. So I decided to transcribe what she said since we can't play it on radio. El Clase. This is my little transcription software. I'm surprised it got so much of this correct because this is like patois and all kind of intertwining thing, but it got the gist of it. Thank God for AI. So she starts out by saying, "The Lord God rebuke you. The Lord God rebuke you, pastor." Of course, it's without all the animation. "The holy blood of Jesus is against you." This is what she's claiming against this poor pastor. "So the next time you pray for me to go to church, go pray for your daughter." And then, of course, the one you expletive. "Go pray for your daughter," the one you expletive. This part is wrong. It says from one mouth to the next. I think she said from one man to the next. So she's claiming, the daughter is all kind of foolishness. I'm sure, like I said, she don't know these people. She don't know daughter either. And then claiming that she's selling herself. I'm saying it as nicely as I possibly can. "Go pray for her. Come out for me in here, pastor. Go pray for your dirty girl. Who you expletive like a dog. Jump on a plane." She has the audacity to tell somebody to jump on a plane. Wow. "And sleep with so-and-so like a dirty dog. And me, you have time to come pray for because you want me to take off my body right there." Maybe I got that part wrong. I need to listen to it again. But I mean, more or less, "Me not take it off," she says. "Me a sacrifice, a holy, a walking in righteousness. Holiness is unto God, but you pray for love." I mean, listen, she's making a mockery of religion and of God and of prayer and everything that so many people hold sacrilege. She makes a mockery of. So she goes on and on and on. See what she says here, "Because if them diagnose me mad, then the church will look like it have some power." What does that have to do with the church? "But I have to declare to you this morning that the church is powerless." Because Camana has never seen this kind of fire, being her, because she's so important. You've never seen this kind of power. You've never seen this kind of anointing. So again, all about her. Typical narcissist. It's all about her. She's all powerful. Nobody is as powerful of her as her. She says that Camana has never seen that kind of fire or power. One thing I know for sure, folks, that Camana has seen a lot of crazy over the years. And, she is the height of probably a lot of what we've seen. And we would like some degree of reprieve from you, Lavelle, right? So take it from me. You need to find a way to stand down and find something else to occupy your time, because it's disturbing, the things that you say to people. And, nobody in their right mind is going to waste time suing Lavelle, because what are you going to sue her for? What is she going to give you? Her NAU paycheck? I mean, her food stamps? How is she going to? And it's not really about the money. It's about trying to send a clear message to her that she can't do what she wants. And it strikes me as so incredibly interesting when she can say things like, "Oh, she demanded a meeting with Mr. Woody, and she's going to tell Mr. Woody what he must do and what he mustn't do." And I was just like, huh? Who are you to tell a person what to do with their own property? It is shocking. And I'll post the video on social media because I know y'all like to look at the crazy and whatever. I'll post it so you can go and have a look. But, the fact that she sees herself in her own mind as being so important is telling in and of itself. I mean, I hate to say that somebody's nobody, but who is she? Who exactly is this woman? Well, according to her, she's omnipotent and all power, and we've never seen power like this before. Well, I know one thing for sure. I've not seen crazy like this before. I don't know about power, but I definitely have not seen crazy like this. This is different. Anyway, so this person says, all you can get from her is stress, right? I know she's not stressing me out. 2025 is not about stress. By the way, this person also mentioned that the previous caller is also an accident reconstructionist. So when I think a lot of times he speaks on very technical things, and he does come with a technical perspective that requires you to really pay attention. That's fine. But take it or leave it. You know what I've discovered? Sometimes you don't have to respond to everything. Now I know that that's challenging, and we might not always want to, like I said, human beings, boy, we'd be ready to argue with each other, but you don't always have to respond to everything. Yeah. So, oh, hold on. Let me mute her. I was just going to pull this up. I don't know which video, because she does so many videos. I'm not sure which one this was that she was actually cursing out the pastor. Was it this one? Lord God, this one is special. Yeah, this looks like the background, so this is probably part of the video. So a lot of times she starts off kind of, what appears to be normal. If, I got to be careful kind of using that word. But then it escalates into a very different sort of situation. Anyway, let's not give this woman any more attention. I mean, seriously, it's a useless case at the end of the day. What are we going to do? We can't fix her. Somebody's messaged, oh, maybe we can get her some help. And I said, you can't help someone who doesn't want help. I mean, technically, legislatively, there is a way to section, I think it's 13. You can section 13 someone where you force them into a facility. But short of someone committing a crime in Camana, I have never seen anyone successfully section 13 anybody. And it is unfortunate because I think that the bar, and I don't know if people just can't be bothered, but has the bar been set so high that no one has ever done it or been successful in doing it? The caller the other day who said, can we do anything about people who might not have the mental capacity to vote? Like, does Laval go and vote? Do we allow her to vote? Of course we do, which is shocking because only God knows who she votes for. But I don't know. Yes, let's not give her any more time. I agree with that. What can I say? But mental health is real, and mental health issues are real. And, it's sad when people refuse to get help. So this person says the following, which is very, very interesting. Thank you. And, can I just give you all a round of applause this morning? Where's my applause button, honey child? Hold on. Where is my applause button? Yes, give yourselves a round of applause, because I am so, I thank you all very, very much for being willing to share your personal stories on this show. Now, we haven't gotten to the point where a lot of you will call in yet, but a lot of you will still message me and share details of your life and things with me that you're trusting me with, because obviously, I know who you are when you say these things. I don't share your identity publicly. But even that, there's a degree of trust and there's a degree of openness to that. And I want to say thank you very much. Last week, I think it was, we were talking about sexual abuse and molestation. And a young man came forward and shared that he had been molested at the age of 11 for 2 years by a trusted school right here in our public school system. And, he heard other people on the platform asking why victims don't come forward. And he wanted to share from his own experience sometimes why it's a question that's often asked, but it's one of the reasons why there is no statute of limitations, as a lawyer reminded me yesterday, on these types of offenses, because it is very, very common for victims not to come forward for extended periods of time. And some people even bury it as a subconscious memory. And then there might be an incident that might sort of bring it to the forefront. But I only say that to share that so many of you entrust me with these stories of trauma and things that happen to you as children, as adults, of things that you're going through in your homes and the workplace. Last week, I had a gentleman reached out when we talked about the domestic abuse topic. He's an elderly man, and he admitted to being abused in an abusive situation by his much younger wife. And a lot of us suspect that these things are happening in our communities. And we talk about, vulnerable individuals, and being older does make you vulnerable, who sometimes marry these younger women who are just out to use them for what they can get. And they figure the quicker they can put, Uncle Joey in the grave, the quicker they'll get what Uncle Joey has. They want the house, they want the pension money, and they can go out there and live their best life 20, 30 years younger than you. And so family members, you guys need to pay attention to these things. Uncle Joey, if you're of sound mind, I'm just throwing out a name, Uncle Joey, he could be anybody. It could be Uncle Dave, Uncle Jacko, whatever you call your uncles, Uncle Bobo, whoever. I want you guys to pay attention, because at the end of the day, folks, they are vulnerable. And some people are in it for the long haul, Some people, they've been married for 10, 15 years, but you're taking too long to get out of the way, and they escalate the abusive behavior. And so a lot of people call me and they share these stories, and sometimes I'm just flabbergasted by what is happening in our community. So here's another one that this person has just shared. So they said, my mother had a nervous breakdown when I was very young. She was an extremely intelligent and amazing woman before that happened. When her brain broke, she did all the things that Lovella is doing. She became fanatical about religion, also, quote unquote, spoke in tongues. Her mind could not decipher reality from fantasy, and there is no filter on her crazy. Lovell and others like her in Cayman are a Black guy in the medical profession, and our inability to quickly open a facility dedicated to that demographic of our society. We treat our fellow Caymanians, and she is one of us now, like it or not. Okay. Like a disease, instead of trying to get them the help that they so urgently need. My mother was put on a cocktail of antipsychotic medication, and when she had someone to help her take her medicine every day, the beautiful and amazing human that she once was reemerged. But in that normalcy, she felt like she was fine and normal, and didn't like the side effects of the medication. So she would stop taking it and sink back into her insanity. She was abused, jailed, raped, assaulted, shunned, and many other horrible things happened to her. She was a human being, and she was loved, and she gave love greater than anyone I've ever met when she was on her meds. We need people like Lovell to remind us, if not for the grace of God, there go I. It can happen to any of us in the blink of an eye, and we have no control over the workings of the mind. People like Lovell should also make us seriously want to ramp up efforts to get our facility opened and operational, to ensure that they're cared for properly and not mocked and abused and misunderstood. I shunned my mother as well. It was too much growing up, and I was too immature to understand her disease. It's heartbreaking that we treat animals better than our fellow humans sometimes. She needs help desperately. And I understand every single thing that this writer has said. And I thank you again for opening up and sharing your personal story. But my question to you is this: when you have someone, and you talked about, your mother sinking back in because when she wasn't taking the medication, and when she was taking the medication, the side effects, she decided, oh no, I'm fine, I'm normal, I don't need to take it. How do you help people like Lovell who refuse to help themselves? Unless you're saying, and this is why I put this question out there earlier, that we can Section 13 her and force her into a facility and force her to take medication. And if you guys are okay with that, because that means to some degree infringing on her, quote unquote, because this is what she's going to claim, on her human rights. Does she have a right to say, I don't want to take medication? Leave me alone. Yes, I'm mentally ill and I'm going to harass the community and I'm going to go out there and do all these things that will bother people. And, at some point, people are going to have enough of the foolishness. Are we okay with her being able to make the decision on her own that she does not want to take medication because she says in her mind, and this is the thing about mental illness, right? She says in her mind that she does not have a mental health issue. And she feels that anyone who tells her that has, and she's told me this personally, anyone who claims that she has a mental health issue, as Dr. Lockhart has, is basically putting a stain on her and her generational family name. What do you do? And it's a double-edged sword, because that is insanity that's talking to you right there. But what do you do with someone like that? Do you force them to take medication against their will? And if you don't, you also can't force her to go to a facility against her will unless she has committed some sort of an offense. And then the court will say, this is where you're going to go. Last week, I don't know how many of you paid attention to this article, but Chief Justice Margaret Ramsey talked about the fact that there's a lot of people who have mental health issues who are sitting in jail. And those persons who are, sitting in jail are going to continue to sit there because, unfortunately, the facility, Point Siena, that has been built is not designed for those people at all. So once again, nobody in government has taken the time, not even the new director of Point Siena, has really taken the time to talk about what types of patients will be able to take advantage of this facility. There are some patients, even the ones that are left behind in Jamaica still, they brought home 8 or 9 patients or whatever. There are some of those patients that this facility is not equipped for. So who is it equipped for? Why hasn't the government, again, going back to John, he's, now responsible for that. Why have they not had any kind of public education with the community to tell us, all right, we've all been waiting on this facility. We've all been, oh my gosh, we need it so bad. We're applauding it, And then you find out probably 95% of the people out there will never be able to use this facility because it simply isn't designed for them. It is designed with a very narrow type of patient in mind. And who is that patient? What does that patient look like? We don't know. I'm just telling you that it's not going to help. And it's interesting that during the grand opening of the court and the judiciary, Chief Justice Margaret Ramsey Hill could express her significant concerns over the lack of appropriate facilities for the mentally health. And here you guys were, talking about, well, this is going to, you guys believe somehow miraculously that this was going to solve all of the mental health issues in Camana. Oh gosh, we finally have a facility. First of all, it's not big enough to handle a lot of the cases. There are people who might fall into the outpatient category. There are people who, as this caller wrote here, her mom needed someone every single day to ensure that she took her medication. How do you even do that? Are you forcing the medication down their mouth and open up wide? Let me make sure that you've swallowed it. It is unfortunate. But she went on to say that Northwood Prison remains the only option for courts dealing with mentally ill defendants. And these are persons who ought not, for good reasons, which should be evident, to be placed within the prison. And yet that is the only option, the only place that they can be held, obviously against their will, because I'm sure they'd rather not be in prison, to ensure the safety of the community. So they get a different treatment because, their mental illness has made them commit a crime. Let's talk about Travis Webb, 32 years old. And he is, he's not at Northward. He's actually at the Cayman Islands Hospital. And, he has been diagnosed as being mentally ill. And the court has agreed with that diagnosis. And so he's not in prison for the crime that he committed, but he's still in some sort of confined situation. Yet I hear he does go to the gym every day. And there are people who question his mental illness because they say, he doesn't want to be held accountable for other things. And that's why he doesn't want to have to go to Northward, because there might be some people waiting on him up there. I don't know. I'm just telling y'all what some people have said in the community. She said the situation leaves the court with problematic choice of either remanding mentally ill defendants to prison where they do not receive appropriate treatment or struggling to find alternative solutions in a system lacking proper mental health facilities. The prison does have, by the way, at least I think one psychologist on staff and probably a nurse or two. And I think that they're supposed to be ensuring that the guards give people their medication, although sometimes there have been issues with that where guards have made their own determination that someone didn't need their medication and refused to give it to them. I actually know a guard who got in trouble for that, which is crazy that somebody would do that. But anyway, so these are sometimes, some of the things that are happening even within that facility. And then sadly, we have the psychiatrists and psychologists who come here from the UK who themselves look like they need to be in a facility because they come here to work with these prisoners, then they end up having sexual relationships with the male prisoners. And so, yeah, that's happened like twice with some of the imported professionals that we've had. Pretty wild, but it's true. Ingrid, good morning. Thank you. The money man says we need to start a petition to send her back to Jamaica or send her to a mental health institution. And there should be more support for sexual abuse victims. Thank you. Ingrid says, I've read a lot of comments of people saying, or I should say defending her, saying that she can't be sent back to her country because she has Cayman papers. She's a person with Cayman rights, and the main one is to be disrespectful to this island and the people / Caymanians. Send her back to her country. She will have a lot more there to be disrespectful to. Jamaica is bigger. Unfortunately, in law, I reached out to someone last week about this, about what options we have. The last person said she's one of us now. Well, we need to make sure that that status can be revoked. But having said that, what I would say is, at the end of the day, there is a, let me check something here. All right. So yeah, in law, there's very limited ways in which we can affect a revocation of status. Section 34(1) says we're the grantee of the right to be Caymanian or of Caymanian status under this or any earlier law is convicted by any court in the Cayman Islands or elsewhere of an offense for which the grantee is sentenced an immediate term of imprisonment of 12 months or more, other than for non-payment of a fine, and in respect of which conviction his or her rights of appeal have been exhausted, or which, in the opinion of the grantor, was made possible by, facilitated by, or connected with the grant, the grantor may revoke the grant of his or her own motion. So in other words, you've got, the commission of an offense where you get a sentence of 12 months or more, and that's pretty much it. So you can't just send people back. Unfortunately, you can't revoke that status as easily as you guys think. Abby says if she feels so offended by a doctor's diagnosis, Would she accept admission to facility? Perhaps the attention seeking is a cry for help, but you can lead the horse to the water. And this is the thing. Unfortunately, she's not going to accept the help. As you can see, even last week, when someone does not agree with her position, even when they're more than qualified to give her a professional opinion, if she doesn't like it, she is not going to accept it under any circumstances. And that's when she starts to become belligerent. So then what? APOC 447 says, I recall Sabrina coming on the show before and telling us it isn't for those kinds of patients. Well, I think we need more details from a clinician about exactly what type of patient this facility will be helpful for. She may have broadly said, not everyone, and I think it was because of a question that was put to her, but not everyone is going to be able to benefit from this. And this is where I think there's a disconnect between the sort of average person in the street thinking, oh, finally, we've got a mental health facility. All these people are going to be able to get help. And you will continue to see them on the roadways because that facility isn't for them. Tartarian says, she's not a Camanian. She's not one of us. We should not be wasting money on her. Our facility are for our people. Send her to a facility in Jamaica where she come from. Morning, honey child. How are you, my dear? Gabby says that part, Ingrid. It needs changing that law, says Jim Norris. Then you need to talk to your legislators. This person goes on to say, I don't know how sophisticated our laws are in terms of mental health, but in other countries, i.e. where my mother lived, her family could get an order to have her committed on a periodic hold and psychiatric evaluation. It was the humane thing to do, as she and those who are diagnosed with mental disorders are potential danger to themselves and others. We have to take a strong approach at some point to help them. I watched her suffer and struggle, but I was taken away from her at a young age and moved here. And I battle with guilt to this day for not being a better person in my adulthood to do more. What I do know and feel is that those persons do not have the powers of a rational mind. So there should be legislation to help and protect them. So like I said, the legislation seems to be difficult to get to that point where somebody else can actually force them into treatment here. Maybe Lavelle can be a test case, but as far as I know, her family has long given up on her and they want nothing to do with her. Someone said her daughter has emancipated herself from Lavelle. And it is sad because you can understand that family members, especially children, will undoubtedly, they will struggle their entire lives with knowing that they had a parent like this that unfortunately, didn't get the help that they need. And perhaps when you become an adult, you kind of think that maybe you could do more. But, you also probably have to recognize your own limitations. How much more can you do? I don't know. A psychiatric hold, a temporary psychiatric hold to force them to take medication, especially when the situation or the mental illness is a long-term one. That's where you have the repetitive cycle of constantly being in a loop, I guess. All right. She cannot decide on her own. The police, the government have to take action under some section. And, it sounds like she has been in a facility before. And I don't know if they forced her there because she's talking about the hospital and whatever. And then when she comes back out, this is when she goes in a tirade and she claims that the hospital was trying to kill her and that these doctors were trying to kill her by forcing her to take medication. I don't know what we're going to do. This person says, good morning, Sandy. If that mad thing Lavelle had so much power, she wouldn't be so damn crazy. Also, she'd be so broke and living. She wouldn't, I think, be so broke and living off of her money. I wish I had power to get her assistance off of her island. What a hot mess. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Mm-hmm. All right. So, right. Let's move on. I feel like today's theme, we had the show titled Public Nuisances, and I can assure you that they come in all shapes and forms. Now, let's talk about our young people. Some of them causing havoc all over the place once again. So disgraceful behavior this weekend at Camana Bay. Young people fighting. Can I play the video? Was there profanity in it? Oh, Lord. I didn't really listen to it, to be honest. You know, I get the video and I see what's happening. I don't even have to watch the whole video to know that our young people are in a world of trouble. And so we need to do something to arrest the situation. So I received this video over the weekend. It's only 36 seconds. Let me play it minus the audio because I'm sure that they probably have foul mouths and stuff as well. These little girls fighting, setting up a fight so that they can have some kind of fight club on social media. I don't know what they think they're doing. I mean, whose children? Who are the parents? Where are the parents? Is the question that I have. Because why are you allowing your children to go to Camana Bay to be unsupervised? And, you know, I'm going to show you the video. Like I said, I won't play it. This looks like this took place. All these kids are standing around. This was a big setup, obviously. The police then come running in shortly after the fight started. Camana Bay has now issued a statement saying, you know, they've gotten it under control, reminding you guys, which they probably relaxed their policy of not allowing your unsupervised children on their property. Listen, if I was management at Camana Bay, you could believe me when I say that I would, without any fear whatsoever, I would definitely not allow your children there with strict application. It's so risky. And the day that something happens is the day that the Caymanians going to be trying to cry down poor Camana Bay, like, oh, they should have done something about this, Sandy, and this and that. And, you know, they've tried, but you guys continue to ignore their rules and, you know, send your children out there. So here they are. This looks like this is right by the bookstore. And I don't know who they're having a conversation with. Obviously, it's being recorded. And then they go from that to, you know, having this fight. These are like little girls. Look at them. Are they 12 yet? I mean, my gosh, they're like little stick figures. No, not even no meat on them. And only God knows what on earth they would possibly be fighting about. Caymanians, come get your children. This looks horrific. Wow. So here comes the poor police officer running in. They said they got it under control. So yes, the fight started for a couple seconds, but they were standing there for a good little minute or two, obviously arranging this with all these teens gathered. I would have thought security would have been right in the middle of them going, why are you guys even standing up here? Why are you standing up here? Where are your parents? Why are you idling? Pat says, where are the parents? Where Caymanians? Where were you? Where are the parents? That is the only question. Remember when we were young, there was that show with the little rainbow thing and the little star. It's 9:00. Do you know where your kids are? Kind of thing. I don't understand it. Okay. And this is a failing now on me. And so I need some of y'all young people to help me understand this. This is a failing on me, and I'm a parent, and I haven't gotten to that stage yet as a parent. But when I was growing up as a child, right, I was not allowed out of the house like that. After dark on the streets, maybe in Cayman, y'all don't worry about things like people kidnapping you, but in the States, you ain't out on those streets, okay? Because you disappear in a second. So my aunt was like, you ain't going nowhere, honey child, no how, no. And she also had an extra sense of responsibility because I wasn't her child. She's like, God, if anything happened to you, anybody kidnapped you, all them people in Camana gonna be blaming, oh, Aunt Lottie made the Caribbean girl, the little Camanian child got kidnapped. You never hear the end of that. So naturally, she took maybe in some ways, extra care, because she's well aware of things that can happen. Y'all don't seem to care, which is, I think, an indictment on the parents. And I'm calling out every single parent whose child was there, whether they were fighting or not, standing up, watching this. Why are your children, see some other ones on the other side recording it? Why are your children out there without you or another responsible adult? Good morning, caller.
Sandy, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good. This looked like a planned fight for
social media clout. Yep.
That group of kids to be there at that time and people there to videotape it.
Yeah.
That was all planned out before they even got to Camana Bay.
Exactly.
And as far as parents go, you're using the term plural when a lot of households are single parents. And also we're looking at kids having kids nowadays. So those parents are not mentally or capable of raising children to be respectful. It's either they're being neglected, a grandparent is raising them, the so-called parent is out and about doing what they want to do, and they, letting their kids run wild. So when I saw this, I was embarrassed for Camana. I was embarrassed for the Camanians.
Yeah.
That we all you have to do is look at the U.S. and all the videos on social media, the reels, and you see all these people fighting each other, their own people fighting each other. I mean, come on, this place is getting out of control.
It's gotten out of control.
People need to reel it back in and just get it together. Camana is lost. I mean, Camana is lost.
Yeah.
And people are just, walking around with blinders on. That's all they're doing, walking around with blinders on. Thanks, Andy. Have a great day.
Thanks, my dear.
I hope people get it together.
Yeah, so do I. Thank you so much. So here's the thing. Again, it's shocking. And I don't understand what the parents are doing. I don't understand where the parents are at. Because once again, this wasn't allowed in my day. And so I find it difficult to understand what you parents are up to. Okay. I see it all the time. I see kids after dark walking around in our streets. And I'm thinking, how do you just allow your kids to idly walk around and do what? You can't tell your kids you're not going out the front door. I mean, it seems to me that the kids must be the ones running the show around here. And that's the only thing that makes any logical sense. Any young person listening that can help me understand how you all are out unsupervised and you think that that's okay and your parents think that that's okay? And, unsupervised children, because they don't have the brain maturity yet, they're not 25 years old where their brain has fully developed, they will do things to get in trouble. And fighting is one of those things. Now, they're fighting right next to this rock. All it would take is one of them to fall on that rock and hit their head just in the right kind of way. And then one of you parents is going to be childless. Or at least one less child, because some of y'all got too many, but you'll have one less child to worry about. And then y'all will be all up in arms and want to try and sue somebody. You need to sue yourselves. I'm going to be very, very frank and honest with you. You see how that young lady almost lost her balance just now and that rock is right there? Or they could fall on that pavement. Children have been playing in this country and they've hit their heads before. All sorts of freak accidents can happen. And I can tell you, with a head injury, it doesn't take very much to kill you. And then your child is dead. And then what? What's the next step? You're going to expect who to do something about it. Oh, my gosh. Help me understand as parents why you all think that this is okay. Now, what the police need to do, thanks to Camana Bay for issuing their reminder statement, but what the police needed to do, and I want to thank Jordan Seymour for this recommendation, is that every single one of those children that night should have been taken to the police station and they should have been detained. Not a single child should have been permitted to leave without their parents coming for them. Put them in, do we have a paddy wagon? What do we call it here? The crime scene bus or whatever y'all want to call it? Put listen, RCIPS, y'all need to learn some strategy now and how to deal with these situations. Camana Bay, it's your private property, and you also need to deal with the situation a little bit better. Round them all up. Put them in a paddy wagon or whatever y'all calling it. Take them down to Central, down to the police station, and they wait. About midnight, some of y'all might start to miss your kids. Some of you probably still wouldn't miss them until the next morning. Then you're like, oh, I think somebody kidnapped little Johnny. No, ma'am. We have little Johnny right here, and we've been waiting for you to call all this time. You not called for your kid yet? Right? Make the parents come pick them up. And then every parent that shows up to pick them up should receive a citation. And that citation should be a fine of a couple $1,000s that you now have to pay because you're allowing idle children to roam around the streets of Cayman and on private property by themselves. And you should be receiving a very strict reminder that if this happens again, you're going to be before a judge or a magistrate in court. Now, if we don't have the legislative structure for this kind of parenting accountability, can y'all please put it in place quickly? This is a matter of national security now. We got hooligans roaming the streets and on private property that cannot be controlled. There was a young man a year or two ago who was severely assaulted by one of these gangs. These are the boys now because they fight a little bit different. And unfortunately, he received pretty serious injuries that his mother said was actually causing him to have headaches and other cognitive issues, medical bills and all sorts of stuff, and who would be held accountable for that. And it really seemed that in his case, it was actually a case of mistaken identity, which is even crazier. In the wrong place at the wrong time. This person says, I am lost. Why are parents still dropping off kids at Camana Bay unsupervised? I'm lost too. And you see, I think some of how this happens is it's entirely possible that they're dropping them off. Because remember the incident we had at the Burger King where they were misbehaving, the Burger King in 7 Mile Beach. Remember, it's really easy to walk from anything in that 7 Mile Beach quadrant, walk over the bridge, right? And then go straight over to Camana Bay on your own. So it's possible that the parents may not be directly dropping them off at Camana Bay, but they're dropping them unsupervised elsewhere. And then the kids simply walk over. They've agreed that they're going to walk over and go to Camana Bay. Once again, I'm sorry, but in my day, that type of unsupervised time out on the streets was not permitted. No. Oh, you're going to the movies? You're going with an adult? First of all, my aunt didn't believe in none of that. Y'all don't know how strict she was. She was not playing. Y'all would not be able to survive under that type of militant leadership, right? You wasn't going nowhere. It was church, and even that was supervised, and home again, and that was it. Now, I'm not saying your children can't have a little social life and whatever, but they got to be supervised. These teenagers are not capable. And I'm not trying to come down hard on them, but I just told you their brain does not fully develop until it is 25 years old. Now, keep that in mind politically, because we have people who are about that age who want to run for political office. I'm like, pump the brakes. You've not lived, I get it. Oh, we want the youth to come out and this and that, but your brain has just fully developed and you think you can run a country? My tweetums. No. Get control of your children, parents. Right? Do us all a favor. This person says, in Panama, if a child is found after 10 p.m. on the road, the police pick them up, and then the parent will be fined and arrested, and they have to pay a fee. They were found, and arrested, and then they have to pay a fee. So, okay. So let me, let's talk about when these kids feel like they're being called out for bad behavior. What else they do, right? So the first thing they do is they get upset with me because they think, oh, somehow this is my fault. I'm like, they're not my children. The last I checked, I only got one. So I don't know what this is all about, but let me show you all this. Hold on one second. So they get upset with me. They want to curse Auntie out. They're like, oh, it's her fault. Hold on one second here. Honey, chill. Yep. So, So, yep. So they blame me, and then they're like, oh, yeah, it's her fault. Who sent it to her? So they actually posted, I don't know who this TXMU.LLA, whoever this person is, but listen to what they had to say. Your children are really something else. And you see, when I go on my little live now after hours and I decide to do a show addressing your very rude and unbelievable children, then y'all want to get up in your feelings about, but Sandy, you shouldn't talk to her like that. You need to y'all need to teach your children some respect. Because when they start to talk about my body parts, they will have to know that I'm going to come and set them straight, because clearly nobody has been disciplining them, and that's a problem. So tell me how old this child is that had the audacity to put up this message. I'm going to let y'all read that comment for yourself, because obviously I can't read that on air. I would have to bleep out the whole thing. But I'm assuming this is probably one of those little girls. And the sentiment is, who decided to send it to me? Parents. You see, if this was my child, Lord, the good Lord would really have to help them. And I'm not a person who believes in corporal punishment. I'm going to be very, very clear. I'm not going to go beat them up. That's not what they'd be getting. But I'll tell you one thing. They would have every single privilege stripped. No phone, which I don't know why y'all give them phones to begin with. No iPad, no gaming console, no nothing. Their heads would be in their books 24/7 if they decided to post this kind of thing. They shouldn't even have social media. And that's where a lot of you are going wrong with your children, is you're allowing them to have unsupervised technology, unsupervised phones, and unsupervised time on social media. Somebody said this is the other girl in the fight, apparently. And they're out there posting all kind of stuff and saying all sorts of stuff to their peers, each other, and apparently thinking that they can say it to me as well. Knowing that me and them not no companions. I'm not a companion to your child. Y'all better be lucky it's early in 2025. Come and get your children and deal with your children. They are out of control. And Caymanians, these children are, I would even say, our future. They are our present. This is the mess right now that we have got to deal with. Like, seriously. Wow. Do y'all understand how bad the situation is? My goodness. It is absolutely shocking. Really. So someone said they sent the young lady's picture to us. My God. Wow. Unbelievable. Y'all come get your children. Come and get your children. Now, you see, the child can post this on social media for the world to see. I'm going to show you all exactly which account this is. And you parents have no control. You're not doing anything about it. I don't expect, I don't know who, as the last caller said, maybe I'm saying parents with a plural when she probably only has a mother at home who out there trying to hustle and work and put food on the table. You know, this one's saying that they wanted to jump the little girl. The one in the black wants to jump the other one with a group of her friends. And this is the kind of behavior that is permitted to go on. Said that she's always smoking and fighting security guard, tearing down the school, smoking weed. And these children go to John Gray High School. For the record, the PTA president issued a statement saying that she was very, very disappointed to hear that allegedly some of these kids are John Gray students. Well, yes, they're John Gray students. And so my question to you, even as a PTA president, because she says, they're not going to allow this petty behavior where their students has got to stop. This isn't petty behavior. This is now criminal behavior, right? And so as parents and as administrators of the school, this has been going on for many, many years. And if it has to stop, what role will you all play in having this type of behavior stopped? Ultimately, the buck stops with the parents. But the PTA, I'm glad to see Ms. Marva taking a very, very strong position against this type of behavior. So this message was sent out at 7:10 this morning, talking about this disgraceful video being circulated. As PTA president, I've requested that if these students are indeed John Gray High School students, the matter should be addressed today, and the student should be placed in suspension immediately until the parents and students understand that this will not be brought off the streets and enter schools on Monday morning. Students, children need to understand that there are consequences to their behavior. And I could not agree more. It is unfortunate that, we seem to be raising children in this day and age to believe that their behavior has zero consequences. And that is a serious problem because, my apologies, I can tell you that in the real world, there will be a lot of consequences. The sooner you teach children that behavior has consequences, the sooner they will learn how they need to behave. And y'all need to be living by example as well, because here's the problem. Some of you parents are out there in the streets fighting and carrying on the most, right? And doing all sorts of stuff, knowing full well that your children are aware of it, they're watching your behavior, they're cognizant of your behavior, and yet you don't think that they're going to act the same way? Come now. I can assure you that they do and that they will. This goes on. A parent says, the sad reality is that it's not the first time that this has happened, just that it has now been recorded. It's not the first time that it's been recorded. We've shared these types of videos before, because part of what these children do is they want the clout. They create these fight, and we've talked about this, agnasium since at least 2018 or before. They're creating these platforms on social media, these Instagram accounts, Snapchat, whatever, where they are encouraging the fighting. They're encouraging the showing of the videos. They're getting clout off of that. They want the attention that they get from this situation. And so they have long been recording it. If you guys don't think that they are, that means that you're not watching these the content on the phones that your children have. No child should have a phone at the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, and be completely unsupervised with that. That's how some of these perpetrators are also reaching out to your children, setting up social media accounts so that they can go after your kids. And you are completely oblivious to it. There's one who's in court right now. A whole slew of charges. And he has been, restricted from using social media because that is precisely how he was having access to his victim. And now there is a whole slew of charges against him, against somebody's daughter, somebody's child, right? That he has been targeting on social media, and you guys are completely clueless. Wow. How does this happen? Unbelievable. Let me tell you who this one is, because this is one we definitely need to keep an eye on. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can put up the court list. Have they sent out the court list today? I don't see it yet. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can get the court list for today. He actually has a PI, which is means that he's going to be coming up for trial here shortly. So I don't see the cause list for today yet. We normally get them by email, but strangely enough, maybe they're a little bit late today. I'm just checking this morning's emails. Okay, maybe we're late getting them out today, but we haven't received it as yet, looks like. But anyway, someone sent me another copy of it yesterday, but this dude has a whole slew of charges. Let me read some of them to you so that you can get a clue about what he's up to. So this is Travis Anthony Boyd, indecent assault, three times there. Another one, indecent assault, sexual communication with a child pornography, indecent photographs of children, inviting a child to participate in a sexual activity. And there's more, but that's what I could see so far from the list that the person sent me. Hold on 1 second here. So yeah, whole list, and the court has actually put an order in place where he should not be on social media or having any access to social media, because that is exactly how he was reaching out to his victims. And again, you guys are sitting back, allowing your children to be completely unsupervised and have no clue what they're doing on those devices. And you're creating, I dare say, a very, very dangerous situation. Okay. So, this person says these girls that get dropped off at Camana Bay will be the same ones a few years from now that will have fake IDs in the clubs and other adult events with their parents. Yes, you read that right. 16-year-old girls with fake IDs and their parents are aware of it in clubs with their mothers. This is 100% factual. Wow. When you mentioned earlier that the good Lord would have had to come to help if we ever disrespected any of ours, disrespected in such ways as we see today by the youth of Camana. Hold on 1 second. All right. Another person says that morning, every time my son asks me to go to Camana Bay to hang out with his friends, I always say, okay, let's go. And we will be hanging out with your friends. That's right, honey child, you go with him. This person says, as poor as Honduras is, in Guanaja at 6 p.m., a gentleman rides around ringing a bell, and all children have to be indoors. And when the police walks around, if a child is outside, they're in serious trouble. Another parent says these children don't have the emotional intelligence and the parents appear to have less than them. What a hot mess. With respect, Sandy, people in the government office don't seem to have fully developed brains either. So not sure it matters what age they are. Well, I guess touche. I mean, I can't really probably argue too much about that. So someone shared a video. Give me 1 second here. We're gonna play this one here for you first. I always have to make sure that we check these videos out. This one says that someone said this one's kind of funny. So give me 1 second here. The comment that came with this one is when you mentioned earlier that the good Lord would have come to help you, have a look at this.
Let me tell you something. You blow that bugle one more time and hear Jesus himself gonna have to come and get off the cross and save you. You hear me?
Yes, sir, Granny taking out the shoe. And she said Jesus himself gonna have to come and deal with you.
Let me tell you something. You blow that bugle one more time and hear Jesus himself gonna have to come and get off the cross and save you. You hear me?
Now, here's the thing. I want to make it, I mean, that's a little funny, yeah? But let me make it very, very clear. You don't have to even get to the point where you have to threaten your children with, this type of behavior. Because the truth of the matter is this. If you have been consistently parenting your children from day one, it's like that bonsai tree, it's not that hard to mold when you've been consistent with it. You let a bush get out of control, then what are you going to do? A lot of times you have to cut it all the way down to the root in order to basically start over. There's sometimes you can't even save a tree. You got to just chop the whole darn thing down. It's too late. You got to start all over. But if you start pruning it gently from day one, the chances of you having to take drastic action becomes far less. Yeah? And this is a principle of, parenting that I think we need to learn more about. Parents in Camana, they're either all or nothing. They do nothing at all, and they let them run around like little rogue children, living in the bushes, do whatever they want. And then the one time that they feel like, oh gosh, this child embarrassed me, we're in public, whatever, then they're jerking them up by the ears and swinging them around by the arms and pretty much abusing the poor little children. So what I'm saying is you don't have to take an extreme approach to either of those. What you can do is you can gently, yes, handle your child so that, they will learn little by little. That's all I'm saying. I'm not an advocate of abusing children. And in fact, I say to people all the time, when I look back on my experience as a child, my aunt she was militant and it was too much. The problem is she felt like she had to be. Because, and this is where I give her grace and I give her understanding, that she really felt like she had no choice. Because by the time that she got me, I was 9 years old and I was already, and I'm telling you all this for a fact, I was already stuck in my own personality. I had been largely unsupervised for the 9 years, doing whatever I want. And so that tree that she was trying to bend and mold into a different person, it was a challenge, even at the age of 9. 9 years is a long time for a child not to have a consistent, non-chaotic environment. Now, so she felt that she had to come in with a heavy hand. And, she also came from a different time when that's just how they did it. 14 years, 12 years. You guys haven't been doing a darn thing with these kids. It is going to be a challenge. And then they become part of societal problems. They get in the system. They're in the girls' and boys' home and the children's home, right? They get in the penal system, and then we all have to deal with them. Gentle parenting is something we could all learn a thing or two about. But you've got to start from day one. You can't wait. Someone said to me the other day, I can't remember who it was, somewhere I was, and I think I might have been at home, but we had people over. And Gianna was doing something, and Chala looked at her, and somebody's like, "Oh, you one of them parents? You just give them a look." And I'm just like, seriously, honey, child, don't make me take my glasses off and really look at you, because you know what? Whatever it was, that behavior was unacceptable. I can't remember what she was doing. I was like, cut it out right now. Don't let me have to talk to you again. And there's no corporal punishment around here. Nobody not beating nobody up. But she knows stuff that she wants to do. All the fun things that kids like to do. No play dates, no toys, no iPad, no nothing. Everything will disappear. What a mess we were in, honey child. Miss Debbie. Debbie Broderick says there's been an ongoing issue at Camana Bay. That's where the police have to deal with them. There are more pressing issues on this island to put their time into. Some parents are everywhere except where they should be with their children. Time to hold these parents accountable, and I have no apologies for saying this. V the Money says the parents of today are too relaxed. My parents are proper strict with me. I'm 24 years old, and I still thank them. And it's social media to blame. You can't blame social media because no child should have social media without a parent authorizing it. And why are you guys authorizing social media? John LaRue says put them in jail for 6 hours. Blake says very true. Morning, Blake. The police have no strategy. 20 years ago was very different. The application and enforcement of laws is not the norm anymore. It's just a job and a salary and no full commitment to preventative measures. So the police have a role, parents have a role, the PTA has a role, the schools have a role. I think everybody has a role in curtailing the situation. Now, someone says, and I don't know who this parent is, but they're calling out a parent here. They say, "Good morning, Miss Sandy. One of these girls in the video is Kashian's daughter. I don't know who she is. The one who was in the bike accident on Breaker Speedway. Someone needs to reach out to that mother and take those kids. She is a kid herself, and she just keeps having more." Oh, Lord Jesus. What a mess. Wow. And no doubt when people are having children and they're not prepared for the responsibility that comes with that. I just told y'all, 25 years old, the brain is not fully developed, and there are definitely people under that age, much, much younger, who are having children. And so you have to understand that they themselves would be ill-equipped, especially if they don't have someone helping them to do an effective job. Right? As Pat says, please note, parents, predators know where your children are most valuable and where they hang out. Miss Donna Bryan says there are basketball games going on at Camana Bay. But what does that have to do with these kids? They're not going to the basketball games. What's happening at Camana Bay with the basketball, that was a by invitation situation, and people were involved in the camp. So again, if people were allowed to go and watch the games, you should not be just allowing children to go watch the games by themselves. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How are you, Miss Sandy?
Not bad. How you doing?
Oh, we got a beautiful day today.
Wonderful.
And that situation there with these children, you know, my thoughts and my thoughts only. You know, the parents supposed to be responsible for these children, and they should charge the parents. Charge them one time, give them like a little $1,500 charge, and they would not do it again. And another thing, Miss Sandy, can you find out for me? Because I'm ashamed to ask this question. Who changed the police force to a police service? Because all I know is a police force supposed to keep the law, make sure that the country is being, or the island is being run by the law. A service is a quite different thing. Service enforces two different things. And I think that we should have a police force, but it has become a police service now. So I'm trying to find, if you could find out for me who changed and why you changed that.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. I appreciate it. I can't remember which commissioner. I don't think it was the last one. Who was before him? Let me see now if I can find out. I can probably look this up and tell you. Hold on. I can probably tell you. So they changed it. The logic being that supposedly they felt like the word force, they did a rebranding exercise. The word force, implied a certain type of behavior on their part, and service, them being of service to the community, just sounded better and made them sound all PC and softer, and that they're part of the community with the whole community policing. Let me see. When did the Cayman Islands, I'll see if my little AI tool can help me, police service, change its name from Cayman Islands Police Force to Cayman Islands Police Service. Let's see. All right, so they changed it in 1996. Cayman Islands Police Force officially changed its name to the Cayman Islands Police Service in 1996. Not long? Wow. The change was part of a broader effort to modernize the organization, which included the introduction of a professional code of conduct and a policing charter that set standards for service quality. The transition from force to service was implemented under the leadership of Commissioner Anthony Gray. We had a commissioner named Anthony Gray? Well, I came back in 96. I don't remember him at all. At that time, marking a significant rebranding of the police organization to reflect a more community-oriented approach to policing. So there you go. All right. That's your answer, honey child. Abby says, welp, that's my daily dose of birth control. Oh, Lord. Abby, I wish that worked for most people. Stacy says that's why some of the kids are like that, because the parents encourage them to do what they're doing. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry for them. Lord have mercy on them. Jess says being a single parent is not a good enough excuse for this kind of behavior. And let's be clear, a lot of you are, you're okay with single parenthood. You find yourself in a situation, I guess if the kids are here and nothing you can do about it, but try to do your best job. But I would encourage you all to stay home more often with your children instead of being out in these streets yourself. Ms. Donna says, we know what will be happening at John Gray today. They need to be ready for it. And this is sad because, Ms. Donna, I think you're right, is there tends to be an overflow of this type of behavior. And so the schools need to know that probably for the next couple of weeks, things are going to be heightened, because it's like, oh, this one wants to get back at this one, and all sorts of other foolishness happening. Damien says, well, the principal at the government school needs to deal with her today or this week. How about the police? Because, what these girls are doing is actually committing assault. All right, let's have a look at this cause list with this Travis guy. Oh, yes, honey child, he is facing a whole slew of charges here. Let me show you guys, because this is crazy. Mm-hmm. Oh, we have someone in court today for overstaying. That's where it's at. Mm-mm. By the way, last week we were talking about just a little quick court matter. We were talking about the young man there who thinks he's gotten away with it because this is the one who claimed that he was depressed, and so that's why he was smoking or using the ganja for what he said was what do you say? Ganja tea, and I don't know if he's putting in his brownies or what else. But, and you guys again were defending that bad behavior because y'all like to defend badness. But someone pointed out to me, they said, "Oh, but Miss Sandy, how is it that he's on the court for all these other offenses and you didn't make any mention of it?" Well, to be clear, the other offenses are actually in grand court. So I do want to explain, perhaps it's important to explain a little bit of how the legal system works. His current sentence in that matter was a summary court matter dating back to 2023 was when they raided the house. Now, the fact that the police are raiding your house, I think might say something interesting. But let's look at the other offenses. Yes, he is in court. This is John Michael Kelly. So for those of you who wanted to defend him, talking about, oh, look, ganja, what's the big problem? He is in court for additional offenses. So I think he's going to be looking at jail time. And these things are before Magistrate McFarland, which is a different magistrate. But he's got consumption of ganja, consumption of cocaine, possession of ganja with the intent to supply. Y'all paying attention? Because this little boy now who y'all talking about, oh, he's stressed out because somebody died 20 years ago that he cared about. So he just smoked a little pot. Free up the man. Free up the weed. So, y'all, how are you going to explain the cocaine? How are you going to explain the possession of ganja with intent to supply? That means the quantity is quite big. How are you going to explain failure to provide a urine specimen? How are you going to explain causing fear or provocation of violence? So he's facing all of these additional charges. So y'all just hang tight, honey child. As we say, you can do what you want to do, but not for as long as you want to do it. At some point, you're going to have to pay the piper. So, oh yeah, he think he got away with a slap on the hand and apparently all up in his feelings about how we're reporting on him. Well, son, based on your behavior, we will have way more to report upon in the coming months as these matters go through the court system. So y'all hang tight. Don't worry about it. Just hang tight. Now, let's look at this next one that we were just mentioning. Travis Anthony Boyd. Anybody got a photo of him? Jamaican national. No, don't nobody even think about coming for me here today because y'all are so stupid. Oh, is he a Jamaican? Yes, he's a Jamaican. By the way, the two that were convicted the other day in the Jan Money burglary situation, robbery, both of those are Jamaicans as well. Now, we report who people are, and we use, Jamaicans, Filipinos, Caymanians, West Bay, or whatever, as an identification tool in the sense that, a man from West Bay, a West Bay man, whatever. But y'all want to hyper focus on it as though we have a problem and we're only ever reporting on Jamaicans. And I've noticed this trend on social media that is absolutely ridiculous. And I want to encourage you guys to come off of it. Come off the foolishness already. Okay? We report equally that someone is a Caymanian when they have done wrongdoing, as we well should. And we report equally that someone is a Jamaican when they have done something and it's wrongdoing. Has nothing to do with we don't like them and we like them. This is not a damn thing. Honestly, y'all need to get with the program. That's not the point. The point is we have a lot of criminals here and they run the gamut. Some are our own, some are not our own. We've imported enough of them and we report on all of it. So some of you are like, well, thank God they weren't they weren't Jamaicans. Actually, they were Jamaicans. So I don't know exactly where y'all got that from, but both of those men are Jamaican nationals. And in fact, one of them, his father has been a long-term resident here for a number of years. And I hope to God that after this robbery sentence, I think they got 18 months, that both of these men will be deported, never to be seen in the Cayman Islands again. Okay? So look at Travis. Assault by penetration 2 times. Sexual communication with a child at least 4 times. 5 times, actually. Engaging in sexual activity in the presence of a child. Who is this guy? Engaging sexual activity in the presence of a child. Another one. He's got that a couple of times. Inviting a child to participate in a sexual activity. Indecent assault 5 times. Sexual communication with a child. Child pornography. Indecent photographs of children. Wow. And this man has been barred by the courts from using social media because that is how he was gaining access to victims. Pay attention. Please. Y'all need to do a better job with your children. Now, I see someone here on Instagram saying, oh, it's not the parents' fault. Come again? Help me understand why it's not your parents' fault on how you are raised and how you behave, especially when you're a minor. Okay? Make your case. Help me explain it. You made a statement. Now I need to understand exactly where it is that you're actually coming from. What a mess. YouTuber says, I really don't know why Jamaicans get up in their feelings when it's Camana. Everywhere has an issue with Jamaicans. That somehow can't seem to be law abiding. Deal with your people. I mean, listen, YouTuber, they cussing each other out every time you see an article on Jamaican Gleaner or whatever on social media. The first thing they say about each other is, boy, we the worst. Y'all can't behave. Y'all the worst, this and that. So if we report on Jamaicans here and it's a factual reporting and, they're here misbehaving, whatever, exactly. Why are they up in their feelings? Don't y'all go to your own publications and talk about how, oh yeah, they make us so shame and, they can't behave themselves when they go places or even in their own country? So what does that have to do with Cayman? I mean, any day of the week, you can go and see another murder and another sexual assault and all this kind of stuff. And Jamaicans are the ones in the comments saying, boy, Jamaicans are the worst. No, sir. God gonna come down upon you and this and that and corruption and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying. So other people can't call you out for the same behavior? Ay, ay, ay. What a mess. What a mess. Like I said, just go and look at the news any day of the week and you'll see it. All right. Oh my God. When did this happen? 18 hours ago, St. Mary police investigating the murder of a 59-year-old teacher whose body was found with her throat slashed at her home in Post Road, Pear Tree Grove on Saturday. The deceased is Angela Hamilton, who was last seen leaving work on Friday afternoon. Hamilton lived alone. My God. Go and read the 201 comments there, and you'll see people saying, y'all wicked. See what this one? Some real evil crap is happening in Jamaica. OMG. But they love to come on Law Road talking foolishness. Keep your foolishness to yourself. Because what I'm going to start doing is blocking you idiots who come in here. Oh, is this a Jamaican? You're going to just get blocked. I'm not even going to say nothing else. 2025 is a whole different vibe, right? It's I ain't taking no prisoners or no bullshit from any of you kind of vibe. And you can just get blocked and we can just keep it moving. Ms. Pat says not just suspension, parents and children should be required to complete some parenting effectiveness training, anger management, and conflict resolution. Ms. Pat, add that to it as well. YouTuber says parents, they're lazy. Look at the families that these kids are coming from. They're the same generation that gave trouble in school, also coming from a dysfunctional background. And so YouTuber maybe it comes down to not just being, it's not about being lazy. It is about people who don't have the necessary skills. Shall we admit that our people are not equipped and do not have the skills to even resolve conflict themselves? So how are they teaching the children anything? Seriously, if they themselves don't know how to resolve a conflict without arguing and fighting and cussing and carrying on like hooligans themselves and beating each other up, how do we expect any different from their children? They couldn't teach the children anything that they don't have the skills of themselves, right? I'm just saying. Morning, Miss K Mankind. Gabby says she could have broke that other child's back on that rock if they hadn't stopped it. What a mess. Femi says they don't know how bad he was in school. Oh, speaking about John Michael. And people just want to defend. And anytime they see ganja, they think, oh, it's no big deal. Let's just defend this person. It's ridiculous. I really don't know. Oh, yes, read that one already. Kasha says Jamaicans don't like to admit when they do wrong. Minister Chung himself said a few days ago at a press briefing that taking responsibility is something Jamaicans have to work on. Well, I can also tell you that Caymanians also need to work on this as well, because we have done a real bang-up job of adopting and adapting to the worst behavior coming from every other culture. And what's the word that I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Hold on, I'll tell you. Inculcated it into our own culture. Is that the right word that I'm looking for? Yeah. So we have adopted it very much into our own culture as well. We're the worst at taking responsibility for anything, from the top all the way down to the bottom. And that's why we're becoming a lawless society also. They don't have time to raise children. They work so hard, then don't have children. I mean, let's be very clear, Tartarian. Nobody forces you to have kids. There's very effective means of birth control. And if you don't have time for 4 children, why would you be having 4 children? Right? If you have to work 5 jobs, then maybe you need to reevaluate your own situation. I'm just saying, again, that sounds like an excuse to me if I've ever heard one. Nope. That's no excuse. That's why you don't have children until you can afford them. Take your time. There's no rush, really. Right? You'll have more than enough. All right. Who is this? Killed her for dead left. Who's that? Sandra, growing up in Cayman, we had to be in the house once the street lights came on. There was no outing at night. If we were allowed out, it was with an adult. What this one say? Listening to the show, I noticed you call up court lists. Well, we call that up very specifically for a reason this morning, but never mentioned Jessica Jackson case also. I've had people send it to me over and over again, and also telling me why she got fired from Caribbean Impact. I believe it's a window company. I want to ask you why, to laughing out loud, her case not up on Mall Road. Well, as I've explained to you before, once the case actually progresses to any degree of significance in the court system, I'm sure, like any other case, you will actually hear about it and it will be reported on. So if I mentioned every single case that was on the court list, we wouldn't have time to have a show on any other topic. So I want to make sure that you guys understand how this works. Okay. This cause list alone is how many pages is this one? This one is 4 pages, and this is just with one person, one magistrate, that is, right? And a lot of these are mentions. So Francis Alexander Campbell, he's got a bunch of common assaults and threats and whatever. And so we could literally, and Alec sits there in court, he can tell you it's a full-time job to sit there in court and just report on court reporting and nothing else. So we wouldn't be able to get anything else done. When it comes to normally some of the sentencing, and yes, there are cases that we never get to touch because we simply don't have the time or the resources. We don't have a dedicated court person. And you know what is so funny? The Compass actually has dedicated staff that goes to court all the time. And they haven't mentioned her either, and they haven't touched on that case. So have you gone to ask them why they haven't reported on Jessica? The problem is this: when y'all have personal issues with each other, and I obviously get that you do, right? And you want us to report on a particular individual, that's not exactly how it works. So we tend to wait until the court case has progressed to a particular stage. And, you know, quite frankly, there's some people, possession of ganja and consumption of ganja, I hate to tell you, but that's on the court list so often that unless there is something peculiar about it, you're not going to probably hear 90% of those cases reported upon ever, because they're frequent and they're very run of the mill. And so why would you be reading that? It's only if, like in this case, oh wow, he had a really interesting defense that, you know, he was grieving a loved one and the court, you know, gave him a suspended sentence of 12 months. That's interesting. That case is interesting just for that reason. It doesn't have anything else to do with him, you know, smoking marijuana or whatever. So I know all of you think that you're in the news business and you're operating a newspaper, but I challenge you guys, you know, go ask Wendy Ledger why she hasn't reported on it. Go ask the Compass why they haven't reported on it either. Go ask Alric why he hasn't reported on it. I'm just saying, there's only so much time in the day. And yes, we report on, you know, as much as we can in terms of the court system. There is a hierarchy of what matters and what doesn't matter. And we have to make that judgment call. Now, anybody wants to volunteer to go to court for CMR and take court notes, accurate court notes, and do the reporting for us, we would be more than happy to have you do that job. So just message me and let me know if you got the time to sit there and do it. That's not a problem. All right. Speaking of court news, and again, we specifically brought up the ones that we did today, not because we were just sitting here going through everybody in the court list. We came up with those for a particular reason. And had you really been listening, you would know that. But speaking of court news in the last couple of weeks, last week, was it Friday? We saw someone get a life sentence. Now, this is important because not every day somebody gets a life sentence. And this was one of the I think this might have been the first mass shooting that we actually had in Camana, where multiple people died as a result of this. So this is a really big deal outside of Globe Bar. And, you know, this young man is Wayne Belafonte Jr., 33 years old. He's been sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 35 years before being eligible for parole for what they say was his role in a deadly shooting that took place outside of Globe Bar back in 2021. I can't believe that's been 2021 already. My gosh, 4 years, coming into 4 years. The sentence was handed down on Thursday. And after he was convicted last year on 2 counts of murder, one count of attempted murder, and possession of an unlicensed firearm. So they say that there were more people involved in this, but he's the only one. He had two accomplices that so far have been unnamed, and I guess they think they've gotten away with it. The prosecution and police say that the group were wearing masks. They opened fire on men standing outside of the establishment, firing approximately 31 rounds from 3 different weapons. One victim died at the scene. A second victim succumbed to his injuries at the hospital, and a third victim actually survived the attack. And they said that the prosecution said in the case that it showed a significant degree of planning and coordination, with surveillance footage capturing the assailants switching vehicles after the shooting, abandoning the Volkswagen for a black Honda Accord on Watler Road. And Belafonte, who was injured during the incident, later changed his clothes before seeking medical attention. However, DNA evidence from blood samples linked him to both vehicles. So they talked about the premeditated nature of the attack, citing multiple aggravating factors, including the use of multiple vehicles and firearms, the police location of the public location of the shooting, and attempts to conceal evidence. And so now he has been sentenced. Mind you, he has 26 previous convictions. Why doesn't anybody have a picture of him? What does he look like? What does Wayne Belafonte look like? So 33 years old, he's going to spend a minimum of the next 35 years in prison. So, wow, that's quite something to know that he's not going to get out of prison. Definitely before he's 68 years old, he will probably end up dying in prison. Anybody knows what he looks like? All right. Can't say that I've ever seen a picture of him. Very, very interesting. All right, that's what we got for you today, folks. Yep. That's what happened to the double murder. So he's got a life sentence. The money man says they should make the sentences longer. Well, it just means at 35 years, he's eligible for parole. But you have a point there, because some of these hardcore criminals are now very, very young. You know, they're in their 20s. So 35 years for them, they're still young enough to come out here and still continue with a life of crime. So maybe they should adjust the life sentence from 35 years to maybe 55 years. That way, no matter how young you are, say you're 18, what's 18 and 55, you're still going to be, doing what is equivalent, because they can't just say life meaning anything. They've got to make it, you'd still be 73. So, they had to put a definite minimum sentence on there in terms of like life. So Ed Bush, as far as I know, no arrests have ever been made in that incident. Did they arrest anybody? Let me double check that. I don't think so. So here, life means 35 years. That's why they say 35 years, and then he would be eligible for parole after that. All right. That's what we got for you today. Tomorrow, I think we're going to have Health City back on. They've been taking a little break. And then we're also going to be talking about the man on the beach over the weekend who had these women scared to death. And he was carrying on like a proper fool and doing all sorts of stuff. So we're going to get into that. And, again, public nuisance runs the gamut from children to adults who are either on drugs or intoxicated, or I don't know what his story is exactly, to even some people with mental health issues, which we have to admit, they are a public nuisance as well. So that's what we got for you today. Everybody good? All right, parents, do a better job. That's the bottom line here. Good morning, Miss Sherry Ann. Hope you're having a good day. And that's what I got. I got to go do some homework now. Today is going to be a day full of homework. So I got my homework assignment due this evening. And so I will be spending most of my day stuck in my books, doing some reading, educating myself, and getting ready for an exam that I've got coming up here in a few weeks. All right, folks. Be good. And we will see you tomorrow morning, God's willing.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.